Archie McIntyre, and I'm the executive director here at the farm. And I want to welcome the Jenks and the Jenks audience to a brief tour of the farm. Wright Locke Farm is Winchester's last farm. We are a non-profit community farm that the town bought the land in 2007 and formed the Wright Locke Farm Conservancy, a group of citizens in Winchester who run the farm. We are a community farm, so we welcome all members of our community to come and visit the farm and participate in many of our farm activities. And that's one of our primary roles, is to be open to the community for everyone's enjoyment. We have a lot of different things going on here at the farm. Of course, since we are a farm, we do things like farm. We actually grow stuff, and we have farm animals. We have chickens, laying hens, which are a great attraction for kids and grown-ups alike, as well as our goats, who help us with some invasive species control, but generally are fun to have about and a great attraction for people to come visit. We have maybe 30 or 40 chickens. They're laying hens. The exception, we have a couple of roosters here mixed in. You can see this fencing around them. This is electrified fencing, which keeps the chickens in and keeps the predators out. So it's important if you come visit not to touch the fences, because you'll get a shot. So one of the things that we have at the farm is beautiful historic buildings. Our buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places. So we're very fortunate to have these period architectural gems that we use and people can enjoy. So behind me is our farmhouse, which where we have our offices and our farmer lives. Our 1827 barn is where we have events. And as I was mentioning earlier, you can see the solar panels on top of the building. And then down the farm lane, we have our chickens on one side, and the far side we have our squash house, which was a building that was built specifically to winter over Blue Hubbard squash at the turn of the century, before commercial refrigeration was widely available. So that's a really important architectural building, but that we use that for our production purposes. So when we harvest vegetables, we bring them to that building and we wash them, we store them in our cold room, and then we distribute to our CSAs or farmers markets. What we do is we start our seedlings and we do some in-ground planting as well, but mainly it's our propagation greenhouse, so where we start the seedlings for our seedling sale, but also for planting out in the fields. The farm is 20 acres in total, but we abut 100 acres at Whipple Hill. So this is all farmland here. You can see on the right-hand side is our goats. So behind me, you can see some of our growing fields. Our farm pond is down here. And you can see our compost pile. We have people come and bring their household compost here, and they can drop it off, and we compost it and make it into good soil. Beyond is our woods. We have about 10 acres of woods that abuts the Whipple Hill Conservation Area. So there's great walking trails that lots of people enjoy. You can see in the foreground, I'm not sure you can see, the crops are starting to come. That's garlic that we planted last fall, and garlic winter's over, and then we'll harvest it this summer. So you can see these are seedlings that we started that are outside hardening off, and this will probably be for our seedling sale. And then we have more in our greenhouse. Come on up here and get a peek in. Of seedlings started, and we're actually bursting at the seams. We're ready to start planting out now that the weather is starting to turn more favorable. We're approaching our last frost day. I'm not sure exactly what date it is, but that's always a good marker for when you can start putting things out safely. We grow a variety of things here, flowers, but we also have our raspberry crop. So Wright Locke Farm has historically been a pick-your-own raspberry farm, and it has been that way for years and years. When we took it over in 2007 and 8, we continued with the raspberries, and we continue to this day, but we've added a lot of additional crops to our mix to supplement the raspberries. But we have a U-Pick raspberry program that starts up in September. It's another great activity for everyone to enjoy. You come up, you can pick a pint or a quart of raspberries and enjoy them at home. And flowers are just starting up. It's still early, you know, it's mid-April, so it's very early for flowers, but this is the area that we devote to growing flowers that we sell through a flower CSA, and at the farmer's market we sell bouquets of flowers. In 2010, a friend of mine in Winchester asked me to help try to figure out how to make this farm a viable operation for the town. And I started as a volunteer here and worked as a volunteer from 2010 till 2013, when we started the process of shifting from an all-volunteer organization to an organization with staff, paid staff, and volunteer support. Adrian, our farmer, was our first employee on staff, and then I was the second. Next thing we did was we hired our education director to start running our programs. So in addition to our agriculture that I've just talked about very, very briefly, we have a very robust farm-based education program for kids and adults alike. So we run any number of programs for preschool, 2nd through 5th grade kids. We have high school programs, internship programs. We also have adult education courses or classes on various topics that are sort of surrounding farming and the environment and nutritious, healthy food and the like. And also we incorporate the chickens in our educational programming for kids. So kids can come and water the chickens and feed the chickens and collect the eggs and learn about a little bit about where our food comes from that we take for granted. So that's really a very important aspect of what we do. One of our neighbors, Bob Johnson, strolled by, and he's one of our lead volunteers here. And I just wanted to introduce Bob to the Jenks audience and have Bob say a few words about his volunteer experience at the farm and the farm in general.
Starting off, I've lived in Winchester all my life. I live up in the back end of the 20 acres up here now. The best thing that ever happened in Winchester was to buy the farm. And it's so great that the high percentage of the people in town helped support us to get to this point. We got a lot going on up here. It's busy all the time. I work in the fields and the buildings and so forth.
all-seasons barn, which we are just completing now. This has been a big project for us that we've been thinking about for the last 4 or 5 years, and we finally were able to raise the funds to build this building. We call it an all-seasons barn because it's going to allow us to continue our farm operations 12 months a year. This building has heat and running water. It's got a commercial kitchen, a big event space, classrooms, bathrooms, and will be a facility that we can use both for public and private events 12 months a year. So we're nearing completion now. We expect by early May this will be completed, and we'll start to have events as the summer progresses and the pandemic wanes. We started this process of working on the all-seasons barn probably in 2017, and we hired an architectural firm from Providence, Rhode Island, Union Studios, to help us with the design. We've gone through a series of design iterations since that time, where we worked with different components, and the final building turned out in this fashion. It's meant to fit in nicely with the other buildings on the farm. So if you look at it from the landscape, it looks like it's been here for a long, long time, which we feel very good about that. We have taken all the steps we could to make it as environmentally sustainable as possible. So we built this basically in a factory, and it was brought on site and assembled on site. What that allowed us to do is to have very environmentally efficient wall panels, with super insulated wall panels. We are heating the building with air source heat pumps, which are electric powered heat pumps that are the most environmentally sustainable method of heating and cooling of the building. We have no oil or gas in this building, so our range is an induction range, and so we try to take into account various environmental considerations as we design this. This is a room that we will have for gatherings, whether it's a lecture for our speaker series or a private event. It has doors that open to the outside, so you can see the rest of the farm down below us, the 1827 barn and the squash house and the fields. We are putting a weather vane on top, and this weather vane, we had a weather vane competition, and the weather vane design was by a young 13-year-old girl, and then we had a professional artist here in Winchester, Maddie Lord, interpret that design, and then we had it manufactured by a volunteer, August Westner, who is a metal worker here that volunteers at the farm, and he cut out the weather vane part and built the directionals and figured the whole thing out. So this will be going on top of the all-seasons barn in the next couple of weeks. And it's still, nearing the finishing touches, but this is a commercial kitchen where we will do cooking classes and education around food. We will also, this will be a catering location for their events. we'll be able to maybe process some of the vegetables and fruits that we grow, and generally incorporate cooking into what we do, which will be a huge connection between the food we grow and the food we eat. I'm hoping that a lot of people who are watching this video have been up to the farm, but if you haven't been to the farm in person, we would welcome you up anytime. It's mid-April right now, and we have a kind of a little changing weather, but the weather is steadily improving, and we're hopeful that as the spring progresses and the vaccines are more readily available, more and more people can come to the farm. Of course, we have been observing mask protocols. So when you're on the farm, we ask that anyone who comes to wear a mask out of respect for everyone else and everyone else's health.
We're happy to report we got a brand new barn up there in the hill. It's going to be an all-season barn, and we're going to have beautiful grass and everything up there. This place is just going to be the ultimate for the town of Winchester, really. And I hope more people come up too, and I'm sure they will.
As I say, we are Winchester's last farm, so it's really an important property for Winchester to have a remaining farm where actual agriculture is occurring, and some of our heritage is on display for the wider community. And so as a community farm, we welcome everyone to come and enjoy the farm. So it's really quite an unusual asset, if you will, for a suburban community like Winchester. There aren't that many farms, working farms, that are still open this close to downtown Boston. In addition, there aren't that many community farms where the public can come and visit pretty much any time of the day. We're open when the sun's shining, so from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So people can come and walk, they can walk their dogs, they can participate as a volunteer in some of our volunteer activities, they can host events here at the farm, but just generally come and enjoy the outdoors, which has become such an important thing to do for everyone's mental health, especially in this, as we're coming out of the pandemic. members of the community and as a organic farm that we have to cut.
I'm here though. Hi, I'm Haley. I want to be in the spotlight too.